Good day, and thank you for joining me on Episode 4, Compressed Gas Cylinder Labels and DOT Hazard Classes, brought to you by the Occupational Safety Leadership Podcast and Applied Safety Management. Let's get started. First, let's talk about understanding exactly what the labels are in compressed gas. Always have to read and understand the labels. You will find a lot of different paint schemes out there. Some companies have their own paint schemes. Other companies use whatever happens to be the cheapest paint out there. So you will not find a consistent paint scheme between different hazard classes and cylinder types. And of course, cylinders come in all shapes and sizes, big and small. And so you must always read and understand what's inside. Let's go to the next slide. So I put this on here again because once again, you always have to read and understand exactly what's in there. Let's look at a couple of the more common ones that you'll find right on the neck ring. At this first one, get out my highlighter here. Acetylene, flammable class 2. All of the DOT gases are going to be class 2, and then of course it's going to sit down and break it down further into groups inside of class 2. You will find where some of the different types of labels are going to have a UN number on there. Let me see if I can, like on the second one here for nitrogen, UN 1066, and of course for the liquefied petroleum gas at the bottom, the UN 1075. This is going to be a consistent labeling scheme in the UN, well, for anybody who has adopted the UN standards for labeling. So even if I didn't speak Spanish or German or anything, I could go back and look up this number and I would know exactly what that gas was inside of there. Let's go on to the next slide. So as we sit down and we break it down further into class 2, we look at the different groups. So we have class 2.1, flammable gas, class 2.2, non-flammable and non-poisonous, and then finally 2.3 is a poisonous gas. You can look from all the cylinders that we have here. They come in all shapes and sizes. Some have caps, some don't. So once again, you always have to read and understand exactly what that label is. Let's look at the first one here, class 2.1, flammable gas. Let's look at a couple of examples here. So first off, let's look at the placard that we have here. So this is going to be found on any of the vehicles that transport these flammable gases. Sometimes you will only see where it says flammable on there, but you will always see the class 2 on there. That's the really big thing to look for on there. So when we think of the common examples out there, we have butane fuel, gas solder-in irons, camp stoves. Hydrogen, of course, is found more and more out in industry as we look at alternate sources of energy, lighters, propane tanks. And when you think about aerosols, bathroom sprays and paint sprays, we're not talking about your individual can, although you may find a warning on there, but we're talking about when it's in bulk. They may take it from the place that manufactures it to a place that actually sticks it in the container. So it may go from a very large tank down to a very smaller tank. So it may go from like a 150-pound cylinder down to when they finally stick it into its end use in there. You could also find it on things like deodorants and perfumes and all that stuff, because the big thing is that it's considered a flammable gas. Let's go on to the next group here. We have class 2.2, non-flammable and non-poisonous gas. You can see where this is also green. So they've done a good job to say anything that's flammable, red. Anything non-flammable and non-poisonous is going to be green on there. So, and let's look at a couple of examples. We have nitrogen, carbon dioxide, any of the scuba tanks for anybody scuba diving out there. Non-flammable aerosols, And finally, we have mace and tear gas and pepper spray and things that, even though it's not very pleasant to be exposed to, it is non-flammable and it's non-poisonous then. So let's go on to the next one here. We'll look at the final one here. What we have are going to be the poisons. And here you will see where it's going to be a white label. It's a class 2. The skull and crossbones are, of course, a standard out there, but you will sometimes see where it says toxic gas, and other times it will say poison gas. And when we look at the common examples out there, arsine, chlorine, hydrogen sulfide, hydrogen cyanide, these are gases that are already used in industry out there. They're used very sparingly, but you will find them out there. The arsine and chlorine are used in things like semiconductor manufacturing and other types of manufacturing. So they are out there, very specialized gases, so they're not very common. You will also see where this is going to be a white label. So to go ahead there and wrap up, a class 2.1 flammable has a red, 2.2 is the green, non-flammable, non-poisonous, and finally the last one, 2.3, poisonous, sometimes called toxic, is out there with a white label. And the skull and crossbones is typically a giveaway. It's something bad. And that wraps up today's safety short on compressed gas cylinder labels and DOT hazard classes. Look forward to more safety shorts from the Occupational Safety Leadership Podcast. I will put these out every couple of days, ranging from 5 to 10 minutes. Thank you so much for the opportunity to sit down and listen today, and have a great day.